Hi, I'm Jameson Newlander, Alan Frog from the Lost Boys, and you're watching the Frog Brothers Podcast.
Let me get 'em!
It's refreshment time, folks.
I'm just gonna go watch a movie.
Do you like scary movies?
I don't watch movies.
I have to return some videotapes.
You have a TV?
No. I just like to read the TV guide. Read the TV guide. Don't need a TV.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.
Over 1,600 titles, each for rent at just $2 the first night, and only
I don't watch TV.
Yeah, but you are aware that there's an invention called television, and on this invention they show shows, right?
It's a Laserdisc.
Okay, I want channels 18, 24, 63, 109, 87, and Weather Channel.
Welcome to the Frog Brothers Podcast with your hosts, Justin and Alec.
Hello, and welcome to episode 80 of the Frog Brothers Podcast. I am Justin, and with me, as always, is Alec.
How's it going?
It's going. It's been a wild, adventurous, crazy, busy week.
Vitamin water, real quick. I'm drinking this vitamin water. I think they should sponsor us because it's zero sugar. It's the flavor squeezed. It's lemonade and other natural flavors. And I mean, I know vitamin water and all that, like Gatorade and that kind of shit's kind of bullshit. You know what I mean? Like it's called vitamin water, but it's usually just sugar shit. But this one's 0 calories, and it tastes like pretty good lemonade, to be honest. I've been drinking some of those because they had them on set when I was on one of the sets over the summer. And I was like, oh, that's tasty. But anyway, what were you saying?
Oh, I'm just saying, been an action-packed week, man. Monday, we did an interview with Greg Sestero, and the audio didn't record, but we had video. So Tuesday, we redid that interview with Greg Sestero.
I don't know. I think he might have called me from his real phone number, too. I just saved it in my phone as Greg Sestero, too.
Probably.
I'll just text sometime and be like, hey, you want to grab a bite next weekend?
So Monday, we also recorded that Spectre Vision. So it's been pretty crazy. And then last night, we saw The Room and
fucking Miracle Valley, which I debated saying we should do a Spectre Vision on. I just don't want to spoil that movie yet until it's like actually released for people. So
we'll circle back to that when it comes out. But could record it. We could record it soon.
Yeah, true.
Drop it when it's ready. That way it's still fresh.
Drop it like it's
out. So it's been busy day every day of the week so far. So here we are doing what we normally do on Monday nights, getting caught up. So not to mention that I've had a case of poison ivy that got down to the old cacking balls, and that's been a little less than pleasant. So I just figured I'd have to talk about that.
Yikes!
Holy shit!
Holy shit!
Tell us about that because that sounds pretty fucking awful.
So we were decorating Halloween decorations out front, and the tree out front apparently a couple of years ago had some poison ivy growing up it. That all got removed, but the oils last for quite a while.
Oh, this was the day that I stopped by there. I remember you guys were hanging up decorations.
Yeah, so that was Thursday night. You saw us decorating the tree out front. Luckily, the kids didn't get any of it, but I got it, and Liz got a real bad case of it, but she didn't get it anywhere bad like I did. I was like, Sunday night, I was like, oh, is that a mosquito bite down there on the old the old trouser snake? You know what I'm saying? And then it was like looking worse than that, and I was like, oh god. And then by then, Liz is like, yeah, I remember there's some poison ivy on that tree. And I'm like, oh god. Oh god, that means I've got poison ivy on my cock and balls, and it's not fun. It's very common though for it to happen because if you don't know you've got the oil on your hands or your skin, you usually handle your old.
So is it still bad?
I'm on steroids for it, and it's manageable now. It's not bad.
Does your dick look like Greg's arm in Miracle Valley?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Oddly enough, though, since I only got it on the right side. This might be too much information for people, but we're keeping shit real around here. We're going to talk about life and the way it happens.
I like to hear this because now everybody's going shit. Either I've had that happen, or thank God I haven't had that happen. Now I know really not to How'd that not happen? Thanks for the advice.
The pro tip is that if you think you've been in contact, thoroughly wash your hands before you handle your tip. Because I think that was my mistake, I used the restroom, didn't think much of it, after all that. And then a couple days later, it's rearing its ugly head on my head. And that was terrible.
Good boy. He's like trying to get caught in the cables again. I don't know if you noticed, but during our interview with Greg, Booger randomly pulled the fucking cable out from the phone for like 3 seconds, but it was while you were talking.
Oh, nice.
So like on the YouTube version, I just put a little blip that says, yeah, this is where Booger unplugged the phone. And I was like, dear God, this is not the time. We already had problems yesterday.
Booger's like, fuck you. Give me a sandwich.
He's sitting right here, being beautiful.
That's all he is. So
that reminds me of a story.
Oh, okay. What do you got?
I will briefly tell about my other dog named Ninja, who passed away earlier this year, but he Jeff Goldblum in my pocket.
Someone's Jeff Goldbluming your crotch.
Yeah, so Ninja escaped from the yard one time, and he would dig his way out from under the fence, and then he would come back. Like, he knew what he was doing. He was just a sneaky bastard. And he would do this in the middle of the day sometimes because there was a doggy door, so he'd come and go, and I wouldn't even fucking notice. But one time he got out, and apparently, I'll tell you from my perspective. That'd be funny. That'd be a very stereotypical dog of him. Like, come on, you're giving dogs a bad name here. But no, I was, I pet my dogs throughout the day and stuff. And I just remember, like, for whatever reason, I itched my balls, Sometimes you got to get a real ball itch going on. You're having a lazy day. I was in a real depressive state. That was the summer that I got divorced. I lost my job. I lost my car. And my dog died. Zool.
Shit summer. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a fucking terrible summer. And then, I wasn't like, I was in a depressive state. So I was not worried about itching my balls and cleaning my hands or nothing like that. I itched my balls. Then, some time goes by and I'm like, my balls are a little irritated. I better itch those again. And then I just noticed that they're kind of just fucking burning.
Oh, God.
And I start washing them off. And ironically, this isn't the first time I've been pepper sprayed. The other time, though. We'll talk about that in just a second. But, yeah, I realized after my neighbor told me that, oh, did you get your dog? I guess the AT&T guy pepper sprayed him. And I said, what? Where's that fucking guy? I'm going to tear his fucking ass out through his mouth. I just called their customer service and bitched about it because I know that they're not necessarily supposed to carry pepper spray and shit. And I don't know. Ninja might be a fucking asshole and run up on people, and that might scare the wrong person. So I get that too. But he wasn't hurt. He didn't have any in his eyes. Luckily, it was just on his back because I think he ran away. He probably got a little in his eyes like I did the first time I was pepper sprayed outside of a movie theater because they were shooting extras at that fucking premiere that we went to that one time. That's pretty much that story. But yeah, I realized I had pepper sprayed my own balls by petting my dog and then itching my balls because he was pepper sprayed. And I don't recommend.
You play with your balls a lot.
I do not play with my balls.
You know what would make you happy?
Yeah, I do.
What's that?
Not to see any more spoilers of Ghostbusters Afterlife. Because there was that one this week that we're not going to talk about exactly what it was. And some people, I think it was kind of like last week at this point, but were pretty pissed about it. And some people were like, fuck you, get over it. But I think it was spoilery enough. Because it confirmed something that was foreshadowed in the trailers. But foreshadowing is just that, foreshadowing. In a trailer, foreshadow is not something to be 100% about. If you've ever seen a Marvel trailer, you know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
And outright change shit and mislead you so they don't spoil the movie. But there was something was spoiled from it from a sticker. So I'll just say that. And if you know that, you know what I'm talking about. But I don't think it's making the rounds much anymore. So That's good. There was that Alf NECA figure announced. That's pretty fucking sick, and I can't wait to get my hands on probably 2 of those, honestly. Probably just leave one completely in box.
Yeah, they said that's supposed to, they were anticipating February of next year.
Something like that, yeah.
So that'll be badass. Speaking of NECA, starting tomorrow officially, so hopefully when you're listening to this, you're seeing NECA's reveals for October.
Yeah.
Doing one reveal a day.
I'm just having real bad anxiety about it, and I hate it when you bring it up because I'm like, oh, fuck.
Motherfucker has no money over here, so he's thinking about selling blood, and he's thinking about selling his body, and he's thinking about giving blowjobs for money. I don't know if we can say that on here, so you might need to beep
more
that out.
blowjobs for money.
Yes.
Can't say what on where? YouTube?
On YouTube, yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. You might just want to beep that out.
No, I'm good. I'll leave it there. They can come after me, and then they can say, hey, you can't talk about blowjobs. And I'll say, all right, well, James Charles exists on YouTube. And so does David Dobrik. So eat my fucking asshole.
Kinky.
You don't know those people, but they both have very questionable things that they've done. And, well, people who know them know them. There's probably not many big YouTube culture people who watch our podcast. I feel like it's just the 30 to 40-year-old male nerd group for the most part. Although I do see we have a lot of female, interaction with our Instagram and stuff like that. So I don't know.
We celebrate diversity.
According to our stats online, though, it's like 10% women. And I'm actually kind of cringing at myself because I said female earlier, and I hate people when they say like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm gonna have a female." I don't know, it just bugs me. So I'm gonna correct myself there and say women because woman sounds much better.
Women's.
Yeah. Womankind. Dinosaurs eat ass. Woman inherits the spunk. I don't know how I was going with that. Did you see the new Stranger Things teaser?
I did not actually. I heard about that, but I did not watch it. So
I watched it. It's not super long, not super spoilery. There's a house involved of some sort, like a haunted looking fucking house that kind of reminds me of the Claybolt Street house in It or whatever, the new one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I'm not sure where they're going with it entirely. It's not super spoilery, but it has some characters in it, so it's kind of cool. And I also saw, have you even seen those new Stranger Things action figures?
Yeah, I've seen those, the Bandai ones. Yeah. So McFarlane let their license lapse with it. Now they're by Bandai, which Bandai does amazing toys, but they don't do a lot of American releases. Like one of my favorite Stay Puft figures is a Bandai, but they never released it in the United States. So it's one of those things, depending on who has the master toy license, where they'll release some of those things.
Yeah. Those toys look kind of cool. Obviously, they're reminiscent of like the Fright Features Ghostbusters and some of the Beetlejuice stuff, and that's what people are saying. What's just pretty cool.
Well, they have more articulated, more movie accurate or screen accurate versions too.
Yeah. I don't have any Stranger Things figures, and the ones I would want would be obviously the ones of them in the outfits, which are kind of like probably the most sought after ones. So, but there's also a set of Twin Peaks action figures that I think the action figures were just done by Funko, maybe, but they came out, and I want to fucking get those really bad too.
Yeah, the only Stranger Things figures set I have is the Ghostbusters set, and believe it or not, that did not sell as well as they anticipated. I got that from GameStop on clearance for like 75% off.
Yeah,
when I got my set. So
I just mean, like, if you eBay that thing now, it's not just like easy to pick up. I mean,
sure,
you have a lot of money. It's not. I think it's less than $100, obviously, but it's not. It's not like $30 or anything either. I think it's closer to like 70.
Yeah.
The new Ghostbusters posters. I don't think we've had a chance to talk about those yet. I got to tell you, I'm not as stoked as everyone else on the posters, but it's mostly because I would have preferred. I don't know. There's a different way to do another poster series. I guess that they all color match, and I get that, but I was hoping for something different than the other posters' colors, because it's kind of it's like just adding them into that first poster almost. I mean, it's not obviously, but you know what I mean. feeling wise because there's the ecto in the field and shit. But there's they're photoshopped, obviously. So there's just like little weird things, and they just, you know, how Photoshop posters just never look quite right. I don't know. Maybe that's just me and I'm being overcritical, but I'm just kind of like, they're all right. More excited for the movie. I don't know. Not going to blow, rainbows up anybody's assholes, but
The only thing I noticed is that the clouds in the sky are very reminiscent of the original Ghostbusters poster.
yeah.
So I'm fine with it. I mean, I think they look good. They're fun just to see something new, but I don't have prints of any of them yet or actual posters. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
I mean,
I'd have to see.
I'm being weird by being negative and stuff. It's like, I'm not being negative. I'm just kind of like being neutral. I'm just like,
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, like for me, I'd like to see those at a theater and see which one I'd actually want to get.
Yeah. So, that's what I'm hoping I'll be able to get my hands on one of those.
Speaking of which, I do have some new Fright features arriving soon. I've got the podcast Fright features and the Lucky Fright features ordered from Amazon coming soon. So we'll do a video review on those as we get them.
I have 4 of the figures being shipped to me right now from the Plasma series.
What? Oh, the Mattel Ray Arnold figure shipped too.
Yeah, that already shipped, but I haven't. It was supposed to arrive today, but it didn't. I don't think, unless they put it in my mailbox. But
mine shipped several days after yours, so hopefully we'll get those and do a review on it soon.
But the 4 Plasma series, I'm missing Ray and Winston, and actually I saw them both at Target tonight. But I'm like, I got to pay rent first, so I'll be able to find them, I'm sure, later this month.
I've been seeing. Ever since that first scarcity, them hitting the stores, I've been seeing them all the time now. So it's not to say that we'll keep seeing them all the time.
I have to hit up you and Nick and be like, all right, keep an eye out. But we'll see.
Do the hunt.
The Mario casting, which we're going to talk about in a different segment here in a minute. I'll give you my thoughts on it then, because I have some things to say. But I did pick up a couple things this week as well. Not much.
What'd you find?
But I did finally find the White Ranger from this series.
The White Power Ranger? I don't even like saying that anymore.
I say the White Ranger.
Yeah.
Sounds much better. So I haven't reviewed and opened up the green and yellow. They're sitting right over there, though. It's from the same wave. I didn't bother buying the Kimberly. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's from an episode I missed. You can see the little picture of it on the back. She has like a weird striped arm in there too.
Yeah, because Wave 1 did a traditional Kimberly, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know what they're
We
doing.
already have the regular. It's just an alternate. Like, okay, but
what's the other one that keeps showing up on shelves? The blue one.
I don't know what the hell that is. I don't recognize it, and I'm like, is this from like one episode that I don't remember? Because there's a lot of fucking episodes of that original series.
Yeah.
4 seasons or whatever there are. And then today I was at Walmart and I found The Witches on DVD.
Oh, nice. That's a classic.
$5, and I was like, oh, cool. I'll pick that up, add it to the collection.
So the only thing I found in stores this week was the popcorn Afterlife box.
Which store did you find that in? I looked at Walmart. I didn't see any.
Target had it.
I got
it. It'll probably start showing up as they empty shelves, and then one Walmart I was at had a full end cap display of the General Mills, Count Chocula, all the other ones, and then the Ghostbusters Afterlife cereal was sitting on that too. So on the same shelf, so like a little Halloween end cap. So it was pretty cool.
All those sitting up on my ledge up there. I didn't buy the Monster Mash one, but I'm like, I don't really need it. I like the originals. It's kind of like the retro look. I don't need that one. That's a new cereal, so I'm good.
Yeah.
It's just
it's fun seeing that stuff in stores, really, more than anything else, I'd say.
Well,
that's what I've got for news.
With the cereal, I like having it on display at home, but
yeah,
that's about it for my news.
All right. Well, let's jump over to this Mario news here. Do this early.
All right. I guess we're going to do that now. Hold on. Yeah.
Now, Silent Bob.
Now, Silent Bob. Oh God. Well, do you want to do this character by character? Switch back.
Yeah, but let's first talk about the initial casting, and then we'll do our casting.
Yeah. All right. First up, I mean, we'll do it by one. Mario. I mean, Chris Pratt. I think we've got enough Chris Pratt, personally. I mean, I don't mean to say that he shouldn't act again. I'm just saying, like, fucking teeter it off. This is what happens when they put somebody big in too much stuff, and then you're like, I'm fatigued on Chris Pratt. And I was kind of already feeling that when I saw, like Jurassic World.
Well, it seemed like he just came out of nowhere to do some of this bigger stuff.
Came out of nowhere.
I mean, Parks and Rec is great. He's amazing on that show, but some of his personal life stuff that's carrying over too is like very cringeworthy for him. So it's tough because Star-Lord is one of my favorite characters in the MCU, and he does a great portrayal of him. And that's besides.
Look, I'm not saying I completely hate the guy or anything. He has very questionable choices, but and beliefs, I would say, and he follows some fucked up motherfuckers on the internet. That doesn't mean he's a fucking absolute trash bag, but it does mean he's not my favorite. And
no, exactly.
He wouldn't be my favorite even if he was, like most people in Hollywood are, just because that's the way it kind of seems to flow. They're those type of people who are into more creative things, such as acting and producing and directing, and all those things are usually more towards the left. You have fucking examples, like I can name some Republicans for you: John Hughes, Ben Stein, Tim Allen, Mel Gibson, maybe.
Yeah.
Gary Busey.
Separating the art from entertainment is one thing, though, but in a day and age where you're following people that have like really questionable morals and things like that, it really does make you stop and think. So, yeah, here's my thing though. Like, he already did the voice in the Lego movie, right? So, and I get that Lego has a lot of licensing and co-branding and stuff, but hearing his performance in that was fine for that movie, but I do not picture him at Mario even accidentally. So I don't know what the hell they were doing.
You weren't even funny accidentally.
Yeah, so that's very concerning that Nintendo's been very careful about casting or doing anything with Mario after the original live action movie came out, and it was like so mixed reviews to critics and stuff.
Yeah, but what's going to be funny is when that one has a higher Rotten Tomatoes score. And it's just like looked back on by, like me, I'm probably going to look back on that one with better thoughts. But I also watched that one as a kid, so there's nostalgic value. And actually, if you're not trying to be like, this is super un-Mario, it's just by itself as a film fucking interesting and cool as shit.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they did a weird thing where they changed a bunch of shit, and it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's still, there's enough of it in there. I enjoyed that one, so.
The thing that doesn't make sense to me is that you've got all these kids that are growing up playing this game, and they're used to the voice of Mario because he's been voicing Mario since 1992, and that's Charles Martinet. And,
I mean, again, I'm fine with them changing that just because, whatever. But I think you can have people that can sound like a Mario is supposed to sound without completely, like Chris Pratt. Is that just going to sound like a really racist Italian accent to me? Like, that's
I don't even think
kind of what Mario already is, but I don't know.
Yeah.
If he doesn't do an accent, then it's going to be like, this is just weird now.
I'm already going to call it right now. They're going to do something weird that his voice changes to the traditional Mario voice to Chris Pratt's voice in this movie to explain it to people that like know and love that original voice. And it's going to be cheesy and very forced. It's not going to be cool.
You have that prediction. I do not share that same prediction, but we'll have to see when it comes out. Luigi, Charlie Day. This one, I think, could work, but I don't know. Also,
I didn't hate that when I heard it. Right, I was like, okay,
that's probably the best one on there for me.
Yes, I think that was the best choice that they did. Charlie Day's pretty funny. He's very energetic, so I think he can pull it off as long as he doesn't. He has a tendency to get like really whiny.
Well, he's not
like obnoxious way.
As long as they don't make him too crazy of a character just because it's Charlie Day playing him, then Charlie Day did a good job with it, I think.
Yeah. No, I think that's the most solid one that I'm like, okay, I'd consider keeping that one.
Peach. What's that girl's name? Something Anna Smith or something. What is it? Fuck.
No.
She's in
She's in.
It's something like that. One of those names is in there. If you don't fucking know it, obviously.
I didn't put on my notes. I'm just going to say
any other name on my notes, but
she's more of an up and comer, so I'm not
Anna
as
Taylor,
familiar with her work.
something like that, right? But she's in she was in Split. But the thing about her that's odd to me is they put a bunch of 40-year-old, 50-year-old men who are known for being hilarious, and then they put one woman who's barely in her 20s, I think. I mean, she may be in her mid-20s. I don't fucking know, but she's in her 20s, and she's not known for doing comedy or anything. So it's just like, that strikes me as a little weird. Like, couldn't you have cast Melissa McCarthy for all I give a shit? At least that would make sense.
Yeah, for a similar peers and colleagues, at least in the zeitgeist.
Yeah. I mean, you could do anything. The other one I think of is Kristen Wiig. Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones. I think one of those four.
Oh my god,
Leslie
you're
Jones
just trying to trigger people.
Yeah. Bowser. All right, you know how I feel about Jack Black, people, if you've been listening to this podcast long enough. There's a certain thing. I don't hate him as a person, all right? I don't want Jack Black to die or anything, all right? Like, he's a cool dude.
No ill will towards the man.
Yeah. I have respect for him too. Because of, Tenacious D is pretty good. I enjoyed that when I was younger. Not necessarily the movie, but the music. And his early work, stuff like, I sound really pretentious when I say it. Jack Black's early work was much better. And I'm now jumping into a Sean Connery, which just reminds me of Norm Macdonald standing next to Sean Connery doing the Burt Reynolds. Sorry, I'm getting lost. I'm really high. And excuse counter.
One. Out of your mind, man.
Smoke weed every day.
Oh yeah, I was ripping on Jack Black. Not ripping on him, but explaining my situation. I liked him in High Fidelity. I even really like School of Rock. I think that's his peak for me. Because he's very Jack Black, but he's not too Jack Blacky that I'm just sick of it. And then he does cringy shit like Shallow Hal, which is just an abortion of a movie. That is a fucking after-birth dumpster fire diarrhea milkshake if I've ever drank one.
For sure.
I hated Nacho Libre. I really don't even like him in Tropic Thunder. He's the worst part of that movie to me.
Be Kind, Rewind, he's pretty good in, but a lot of that's just because Mos Def is great in that movie.
Yeah, like I said, the first 2/3 of that movie rule, and then the last third, they're like, all of a sudden it's about a blues dude, and I'm like, all right, get out of here. Donkey Kong, Seth Rogen. I mean, I don't know. Casting Seth Rogen is just casting Seth Rogen. It's Seth Rogen, not Donkey Kong, that you're getting. He can't do a voice. Well, that I've heard. That doesn't sound like Seth Rogen. So that's what you're paying for. So you may as well have fucking Donkey Kong smoking blunts and shit and making dick jokes. You may as well, because that's the person you wanted in that role. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I wonder. Like, what kind of humor is she going to have? Because to have him doing that voice seems weird. And then, like, I was also calling out that he's probably going to wind up being some sort of villain at first turned anti-hero that comes to help against Bowser or something in the story. So,
yeah, that makes sense. Toad. How do you feel about this? Huh?
Yeah,
I mean,
totally excited about it.
That's another one where I'm like, well, it just depends on his performance. Because right now, in my head, I'm picturing him doing his really obnoxious, loud voice as Toad. Because I think that's what is going to happen, because it's voice acting and voice acting. When actors try to voice act, I feel like it's a little more... I'm acting and voice acting! It's not as subdued, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just pulling that out of my ass, and I just don't know how to feel about this. I hope that he's more subdued and can do a very interesting character and voice for it. Let's put it that way. I'm on the fence about it. I don't think he's going to do a bad job. I just worry that he'll be, like I said, over the top. But
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm curious on that one. That's the one that I'm just like, besides Charlie Day, it's like, okay, we'll see what happens.
All right. You want to talk about our fictional casting?
Mm-hmm.
I actually did 2 versions.
2?
Mm-hmm. Because I figured, what the fuck?
I just did 1, and it's all very traditional voice actors. So,
well, my first one is all traditional voice actors. My other one is a bunch of trash celebrities that I'm like, if you really wanted to cast just famous people, here's who I think you should have cast, because they are on lists like most hated celebrities.
Oh, okay. Andy Dick as Mario.
Actually, he's Peach.
Oh, fucking great. Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
Exactly. Andy Dick is Peach. That's I'll go through that list real quick, and then we'll do yours, and then I'll go through my other one. So Mario, Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen being Mario. Tiger Blood. And all that crazy.
Adonis DNA, yeah.
Exactly. Luigi. Luigi in the Jets. Pauly Shore as Luigi.
Okay.
He can be really loud and obnoxious, and I feel like that counters the possibility of Charlie Day. We already said Andy Dick is Peach. As Bowser, we have Adam Sandler.
How's it going, Mario? I have your princess.
Tim Allen is Toad.
That makes no sense. That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It's great. What is your actual list?
All right. So my list is Mario is Charles Martinet, as traditionally done in the games. He's actually started doing Mario 1992 for a typing with Mario CD-ROM. And he's been doing the voice ever since. And after playing through all the games with my son in the last year, so many of the games like that, his voice is so iconic. It's just just let him do it. Like, it's his role. He's done it. He's pioneered it, right? Give him the chance. And then traditionally, he's also done Luigi and Wario and Waluigi and all these characters. And I'm like, I'll just let him stick with Mario and some of the other characters he's already done, right? Some of the other things. But for Luigi, I was going to use Billy West. Billy West kind of has some of that same energy that you hear from Charles in that upper register. So I think you could get a really cool Luigi out of Billy West. For the princess, I would use Tress MacNeille, known for doing the voice of Babs Bunny on the original Tiny Toon Adventures. You could also probably swap that for Tara Strong or somebody, because Tara Strong is pretty solid. I mean, she goes from doing...
You could probably ruin my list by mentioning other possible options. So,
okay. For Bowser, I had to go with Frank Welker. Frank Welker can do that bassy voice that you hear in the game as Bowser's kind of laugh that you get. And so that's kind of what I was feeling. I was like, okay, whose laugh feels like it translates to some dialogue? Because Bowser, in the games, you just typically hear his maniacal laughing and stuff. You don't ever hear anyone doing a speech for him or voice for him. For Toad, man, I'm Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's going to do the voice of Toad.
I actually almost did that myself, but I didn't.
Yeah, I thought I would have to do that. And then for Donkey Kong, Keith David. Keith David, I think, would be badass as Donkey Kong. Make him be very smart and intelligent, and I love the way he's
So I'm going to point out the elephant in the room here. You know that, right?
Yes, that way I picked a black man to do that. Yes,
and you took away a black man from Toad.
Yes,
but you switched
Toad
Donkey Kong.
Yeah. So there was controversy around that on the internet. Just people doing this or that. I'm like, whatever.
Might make us look bad, right?
Nothing's making us look worse than what Nintendo's actually doing. So let's calm down.
I'm just saying. I wouldn't.
If you got Keith David though, is so fucking iconic though, man.
I cast Keith David as Toad, motherfucker. That's what I did.
Okay, well, that's fine.
I have as Mario, Billy West. If you're going to change up the roles, give it to Billy West. Luigi, okay. Maurice LaMarche. Maurice LaMarche, for those of you who don't know, Billy West, first of all, did like Bugs Bunny and shit in the original Space Jam. He did Fry, Zoidberg, The Professor, Zap Brannigan on Futurama. He was the Honey Nut Cheerios Bee.
Doug Funny, Stimpy.
Yeah. Maurice LaMarche was Brain and Pinky and the Brain, Egon and the Real Ghostbusters. He's Kip and Calculon in Futurama. Does a lot of other voices on there too. Does Orson Welles impressions. Does just a lot of voice acting in general. Both of those guys do. I did Tara Strong as Peach. We already talked about that. She's fucking everywhere and everything. Like, go look at, just Google Tara Strong and you'll be like, oh, I've heard her voice all the fucking time.
And she's amazing. She never sounds the same though either. Like she does Kylie, like I was saying before, and then she does. If you're watching anything in the MCU, obviously she was on the Loki series doing the voice of the little. I forget her character's name at the moment, but she was the voice of the little
cartoon thing, the little coin thing.
Yeah, a little talking cartoon.
Bowser is John DiMaggio.
Okay.
Voice of famously Bender from Futurama. But I think he can pull that off. Now here's where it gets funny. I just did this because I think it would be hilarious in possibly a bad way. And I might be here because of that. Seth MacFarlane as Donkey Kong. He can do all sorts of voices, and he does a lot of voice acting. So it's like you could literally put him in kind of any of these other roles and let him just fucking do something.
Yeah, for sure. He could interchange in quite a few of those. Just if you know how many roles he does on Family Guy and American Dad and everything else he's involved with, he's got the range.
And I don't even really watch that stuff anymore or really follow him much anymore or anything. But I did when I was in my like teens and stuff a lot. But Keith David is Toad again, just because they made him, they cast a black guy as Toad. So I was like, we'll keep it that. And we'll just do Keith David because Keith David fucking rules in live action and in cartoons. And I mean, he still does voice acting. He's in Rick and Morty as the president.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. He's great. So,
well, that's that. I guess we'll move on to,
Water cooler, cold, cold, cold. 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 Water cooler, join the cold, cold. Water cooler, join the cold, cold. Water cooler, drink it up. Water cooler, join the water cooler, cold.
Marvel's What If Thor Were an Only Child?
Marvel's What If? We gave you probably the worst episode of this show yet. But I don't know. That's just an opinion from me. I know other people liked this one more and hated other ones more. There's a new one out at this point we haven't watched yet, but this is probably my least favorite of them all.
It was fun, but it didn't feel like it fit with the series.
It was just kind of
makes sense.
I was like, yeah, I get it.
Party.
Thor likes to party all the time, party all the time, party all the time.
I mean, it was like frat boy Thor.
Yeah.
To the extreme. The most fun I had while watching this episode was all the cameos by other characters from space, whether that,
like the Guardians
was. Yeah, you see the Guardians of the Galaxy, right? You see Howard the Duck. You see a bunch of all these characters
too, I think.
Yeah, you saw. And Rocket was partying with them. Like, I think he calls him Rabbit again in there. Howard the Duck. So you saw Mantis in there, and she was with. I don't know. It just going to party in Vegas and stuff. It was.
I was going to say these are my notes for it. Like hardly shit, and it was really just plot stuff. I don't know. I didn't take away much from this one. I was like, yeah, okay, so What do you mean? What if Thor went to Earth one time to party?
When they show that he's going there to party all the time.
It's basically a fucking Cat in the Hat.
Yeah, exactly. Except less fun.
Yeah.
Loki's.
I would rather
Loki's
watch
character.
Mike Myers' Cat in the Hat, and it's like 4 times the length of this, and it's fucking terrible. And I'm just being over the top and obnoxious. This really wasn't that bad. I just didn't find it great, you know.
It just didn't seem to live up. Like some of the other stuff, the surrounding it was okay, but like Thor's mom getting involved, Captain Marvel stuff was kind of fun, but it was like, you know how that battle really would have gone. So like she can literally fly through a whole ship and destroy it, yet she just kind of fights Thor a little bit. Like I thought her and Thor were going to hook up over their tension they had going.
Yeah, I
thought they're going to lead towards that, and I was like, okay, whatever.
I think I'd also just realized that you're good cop and I'm bad cop when we review something.
Yeah, she you never take me alive.
You're sitting here like, why don't you just tell us a little about Thor's party? And I'm like, fuck Thor's party, fuck Thor, fuck Marvel, burn Disney to the ground. Walt Disney was a fucking Jew hater. Like, you know, crickets.
Well, and there you have it.
There it is.
Late now. The St. Louis Arch being used as the giant slingshot was mildly amusing, just because it's near us.
I liked Korg knocking out Nick Fury.
That was funny too. Korg was one of the other cameos that I appreciated, but the rest of it just felt like it just felt kind of like a filler episode, considering how good Thor got with Ragnarok. Just felt like it took Thor in the complete wrong direction for me.
Yeah, it was just it was all right. I hear Yoshi.
Yeah, yeah, I could hear him too. The biggest thing though, it was yeah, I don't know. Just no.
Oh yeah, and then Captain Marvel showing up and whooping his ass is kind of cool, I guess, for a minute. Like that was the best part of seeing her, to be honest. And that's a controversial opinion because a lot of people hate Captain Marvel, but fuck you. What is that at the end? All right, let's talk about that.
Well, the Stonehenge thing I had to say before, because that was so cheesy. It was like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, once you saw that, then using the St. Louis Arch for a slingshot, okay, that's funny then too. But you're just like, Stonehenge really, like, that's National Lampoon's Vacation. Like, that's some Clark Griswold shit.
Well, I was waiting for some fucking like Looney Tunes style. They fly past the Leaning Tower of Pisa and straighten it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Like they fly past the Statue of Liberty and blow up her dress, that kind of shit. She is naked under that dress.
Underneath that toga.
She is French, you know that. What is that? Ultron showing up at the end, basically in Vision's body with all of the fucking stones. Is that am I right in assuming that's what I'm looking at?
Yep, that's the next episode. What if Ultron won?
Interesting.
So,
I like that movie, Age of Ultron, more than other people, but also watching WandaVision helps that movie too, because you're like, all right, I get more invested in some of this stuff. But let me see here. That's all I have on that.
Yeah, there wasn't much else for it. Like I said, it was entertaining, but it wasn't amazing. It wasn't definitely not my favorite episode from the series. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, moving on. I guess we're going to go to the movie review for this week.
This movie is so bad. 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 It's still pretty fucking awful.
The Room.
The Room.
Holy shit. I didn't obviously we don't have notes on this one, so we're gonna free ball it. But
free ball.
Let's see. I think I first saw The Room like 5 years ago or something like that. I saw it before Disaster Artist came out, when all the hype was going around, like a year before that, like when the trailer started popping out for that movie. I was like, I gotta figure this thing out, because I've heard about it before, but never saw it. Ended up getting this copy right here, watching it, and just wow, you know. I already knew a couple of the lines because they were memes at that point already, like the "Oh hi Mark" and "I did not hit her," which is, you know, from the same line.
I did not. Yeah.
And "You're tearing me apart, Lisa." All that good stuff. So I watched it, and like I said, surely I was stoned, obviously, but I had a great time. I like watching bad movies. It's just a thing I do. I like a lot of bad movies. And it's weird because there's a line of bad movies. It's like some sort of weird fucking scale where like movies are great, then they're good, and they're okay, and then they're bad. Yeah. And in that bad category, there's like mostly boring stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's boring, or it's like
bad, like The Room or Manos Hands of Fate, because those are bad and entertaining. I mean, they've crossed over the threshold below bad into something else entirely, which is so bad it's somehow entertaining. And
yes, the caterpillar has emerged from the cocoon to be a butterfly at that point.
That smells like shit still, though.
Exactly.
Farts a lot and it vomits.
So I got to tell you, so I saw this movie for the first time at the very beginning of 2020. We were on the way to our aunt's funeral, correct? We watched that in the car, the road trip up.
Our cousin's funeral.
Yeah. It was our cousin. It was our cousins. Okay.
Didn't go up for the other one.
We had two of them that were very close together. So my apologies. Yeah. Well,
fucking goddamn 2020.
Yeah, and this is pre-pandemic too. So fuck all that shit.
Jesus fuck. Yeah,
we were watching this in the car, and it was like, what the fuck is this? I remember like watching it, like all the sex scenes at the beginning. I'm like, why is my brother showing me a porno?
Yeah,
and
because it's like, is this an Cinemax movie? What is this?
Yeah, it felt like Red Shoe Diaries. Like, should we have like another channel like on backup on the TV remote so we can change it in case someone walks in?
Right. Well, it's like
go to that last button. Oh yeah, I'm watching ESPN.
You start out the movie and there's somehow on the Blu-ray, apparently there's not, but there's two title cards for this movie. Like it's like Wiseau Productions and shit, and then it pops up with a different one entirely, different animation and shit.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's just so he felt like there was, more going on there or something.
Or is that just a DVD authoring that did the extra one on there?
No, because they both said like Wiseau Productions. It wasn't anything about that.
Okay.
And I guarantee he put it there as like fluff, so he could be like, that's like real Hollywood movie.
Mm-hmm.
Title cards. And then, you get that the room theme with the piano and the violins and shit. Yeah. And I fucking love that theme. It's so hilarious and goofy now. Like it's almost like the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme in my head. You know what I mean?
It's just so strange. But then like there's also like the guitar that's in there, and like it's the same composer that does even a lot of the guitar work in there. It's kind of got this whole thing lined out. And so you're like, okay, all right. You just try to deal with it as is. But we watched this with a full crowd last night with Greg Sestero in the room, from the room,
meeting off in the back of the room.
Yes. I hope so. Yeah. And I got to tell you, so Liz had never seen this until last night. If you've never seen this movie before, do not go watch it with an audience, because people are yelling over all the funny shit that's like Tommy's lines, so you couldn't even hear it.
Well, they just had it turned down way too fucking low, to be honest. They needed to go fucking crank that shit. It's a fucking movie theater. It needed to be cranked. I'm I honestly wish I would have seen it for my first time in a theater, but I just wish the audio would have been cranked too. But
Yeah,
also too many people just yelling random ass shit.
Yeah, people are in there trying to be comedians. And it's like, if you're quoting along, it's one thing.
Well, it's not even that. There are certain things that people, it's like Rocky Horror, where there are certain things that people are known to yell.
And I get that.
Like
right?
Greg, pointed out one of them. He was like, when Tommy pulls out the drawers at the end, you yell 1, 2, fuck it, or whatever he said. 3, fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that makes sense. There's a fair amount of that, but there's people literally just trying to tell jokes. And some of the music stuff that they're like faking music cues is hilarious, right? I appreciated that. Like the Full House theme because it's in San Francisco.
Yeah,
we're counting
they have
whenever
that
you
same
go.
fucking shot that looks like it's from the intros of the show. So
yeah, and then same time, anytime you have like a long pan and zoom, or not even just a pan, but just a pan and scan across the an outdoor scene or something.
Yeah,
which there's so many of those that are excessively long in this movie, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So
they all yell, go, 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 go. And every time you see the pictures of the spoons in their apartment, everybody throws plastic spoons. Until they're pretty much run out of them. And then the front ends up throwing them. There's also a football usually thrown around in the theater, which there was at least 2.
Yeah. Yeah, so the crowd experience could be great.
Justin's a party pooper. He's a boring human.
No, I just couldn't hear any of Tommy's lines because people are so loud over it. Like, to me, I want to hear Tommy's lines as I say it along with him. So that's just me being an asshole.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of people in there that are like so fucking hideous, like criticizing things, and you're just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Shut your mouth. There's a couple of guys in front of us that looked like, I don't know, to be an asshole, because I can be, I'm allowed to. It looked like the Neanderthal man. And they were really fucking so loud that someone near the last third of the movie finally told him to shut the fuck up. And I was like, oh, cool, because they kept being the loudest people in the theater. And you're like, dude, don't act like you've never seen a pair of tits before in person. Like they're just like that kind of cringy people. And that really detracted from the movie for me.
Oh, man, I don't know. Some of those things that you said had me cringe a little bit.
No, these 2 guys, man, they were fucking annoying as fuck. Really ruined the experience for me. So.
They were the ones usually actually calling out the ones from the lines that you're supposed to. So I appreciated that, actually. But yeah, they were like what you would picture. If you picture a nerd who lives in his mom's basement, like the stereotype of that, they kind of course, looked like that. And I don't know what I mean by of course. I wouldn't expect that at the room necessarily. I don't know. You expect more films to be people and stuff. But either way, I enjoyed that. The Room, though, just the movie itself, there's a lot of information if you've seen The Disaster Artist or read The Disaster Artist as to how this fucking disaster came to be. And my God, the Greg Sestero and Tommy hanging out is just comedic in its own right. Especially when you find out how, like young Greg was when he started hanging out with Tommy in like an acting class and stuff or whatever.
Yeah, it says he's 19 years old and he's like, said Tommy was just kind of a weirdo in his acting class, but decided to approach him because like he had no fucking fear.
Yeah.
Doing a scene. He's like, I need to figure out what this guy's doing because he's got no reservations about getting up there and doing a scene, good or bad. He's just willing to do it.
Yeah.
Which I could see could be inspiring to somebody young. And like, okay. And so this strange friendship was born, and hence the journey begins.
Yeah. So there's obviously lots of production problems. We're not necessarily going to go into that. I really just want to talk more about the movie itself because the production of it is its own fucking thing. We can talk about it as it naturally comes up. But there's just weird things in this movie, like Tommy's need for a bunch of sex scenes and him to be walking around naked. Like they have to show his ass in the movie. I have to show my ass,
Yeah.
The sex scenes are really just uncomfortable in general. Like usually shots with boobs, there's not a lot of like, especially if they're all out. They're not like on screen for like 3 or 4 minutes straight, flopping around in all different positions, I felt like I was violating her by watching this.
Yeah, it just felt like it was overdone there, like to the point where like it's not even funny because you're just like, okay, yeah, we've seen your boobs like for 20 minutes in this movie, and it's strange to be in a spot where you're complaining about boobs being a movie because normally you're like, okay, everyone likes boobs, right? Boobs make people smile. It's joyful for everyone, right?
And maybe
she
doesn't feel that way about it now. I don't know. I haven't really looked into that, but either way, seems a little, I don't know, just awkward if nothing else.
Absolutely.
Her boobs being around Tommy that much. I feel bad for her.
I don't know. Just the cringe part to me in all those sex scenes is when Tommy's like literally squeezing his ass cheeks as he's pretending to thrust.
Oh yeah, and he's like a belly button, obviously.
Yeah, he's in the wrong spot. So
well, she just has a really high vagina.
So do you.
Well, it's only because it smokes a lot of weed.
I know. Exactly.
How do you feel about Denny in this movie? Because you know what I'm going to say, don't you? You have the same fucking haircut as Denny.
Oh. Yeah, except I'm not Denny.
Except, you know how Denny was 27 when he played that role, the actor. He was older than fucking Greg.
That's crazy.
And
that's amazing.
That's just shitty genetics because it's like he looks like a child and Greg looks like young Greg looks like a fucking Greek model, you know what I mean? Like pretty fucking chiseled. And actually we saw him shirtless in Miracle Valley and he was like all showing it off and doing pull-ups and you're like, oh, dude's still ripped.
Yeah. Takes care of himself.
And
it was one of those things where his character was just, you could tell they added him in there for some like tension and stuff, but he was just such a creep. And the fact that he didn't even like seem childlike, he just seemed like.
Well, let's talk about where he's like basically trying to initiate a threesome with Tommy and Lisa.
Yes, and it's crazy.
You
mean Johnny?
What? Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. Right? Tommy, Johnny, yeah, fucking person.
It's the same thing. He's playing himself. No.
Basically, no. There's a fan theory that basically people talk about. I even made mention of it last night, and I think a couple other people did too. But of that Denny is a house cat trapped in a human body from the way he.
Oh yeah. From the way he acts, yeah, and that's pretty funny. It's that hocus pocus vibe going.
Basically, like there's just one point where he's like sitting weird, and there's just things like that, And I have to watch it from. I didn't watch it from that perspective this time, but I need to next time. Oh, hi, Danny.
Yeah, replace all him with a cat.
Wow. The mom, Lisa's mom, fucking hilarious.
Yes.
I definitely have breast cancer.
Yep, and then every time they boop the snoot, they're like, oh, cancer.
Cancer touch. And then at the last time she touches her, they're like, the transfer is complete.
Mm-hmm. It's fucked up, though, because, there's like toxic people out there. And I'm not going to say everyone's like that, but, we've encountered toxic people in life that you can imagine saying that to their daughter or son, like to be in a toxic, terrible relationship strictly over the money. And you're like, it's absurd. And like the whole movie pushes that angle. So like clearly.
What's funny about it is the women are written by a man. So
yes.
Put it in that perspective. That's what Tommy thinks women are like, at least do at the time. I mean, he's also trying to write a drama, but he was still trying to like write women. So that's like what he thinks women talk about and how they act with each other and stuff. The chocolate eating scene with the guy getting the blowjob on the couch and then having to come back for his underwear.
Yeah.
Just
again, another
awkward as hell
scene that you need in there. Yeah. It's
him getting blown.
Yeah, and she still had a mouthful of chocolate too. She had literally just taken a bite of the candy and then was like, all of a sudden he's like moaning. But I think my favorite thing is in all the Greg sex scenes, all the fake moaning in there. Like you don't see his face moving or anything. There's just so many random.
No, I love
added in there. And it's
Greg's
hilarious.
fake moans in there
So
are hilarious. Yes, I love hearing him because you'll just hear the music and you'll see like awkward thrusting and kissing, and then he oh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Could you imagine doing the ADR for that later on in post?
I wish that was my job right now. I would be great at it. There's I'm surprised we didn't have a young enough crowd in there, or somebody would have surely yelled one of those, what's that internet trend of, what do they yell? Oh, they do can I get a hell yeah? And then everybody's supposed to respond with, oh yeah. Like a porn moan, basically.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing.
Yeah.
No, The Room, man, it's as bad as it is, it's so entertaining. And some of the blue screen stuff in there is so bad on the rooftop scenes. But the first time I saw this, it was on such a small TV, I didn't really notice that too much, but like seeing it on the big screen, it's special, real special.
Yeah. It's great. I love it because it's like, as pointed out in The Disaster Artist, why not just shoot on a real rooftop or a real alleyway? The alleyway looks like you're shooting a sitcom from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's weird. And when the scenes pick up, sometimes there's just weird stuff happening. Like the alleyway totally looks like a soundstage, so it's weird. Looks like a basketball commercial or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or fucking Sesame Street with Tommy Wiseau. Well, hi, Elmo.
No, that'd be a show I'd watch. I need to make that happen.
Anyway, Big Bird, how's your sex life? The doggy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hi, doggy. It says press on and off. I pressed it. I don't. Oh, what the fuck? Is there actually a? Oh yeah, it shits the batteries out. Oh, I haven't.
Shits the batteries out. This is disturbing. Movie quotes on there too.
It plays okay, first of all, this is fucked up. Is that not fucked up?
I thought that's where you kept your flashlight for a minute.
I just got a new one right here. It makes sound. Is this just like this is gonna get us blocked on YouTube right here? It has this
part.
It has a barking dog at first, and then it plays a sound clip from that scene where he's walking in there. And, oh, hi, doggy.
Hi, doggy.
That's amazing.
Oh, I bet you didn't recognize me.
Fucking awful. And it has an on-off button. You don't hit it, and it goes once. So if you hit the on, I could just leave it barking into this thing, and then it'll play that clip, and it'll just go on a cycle for all eternity till the batteries are out. Oh, that's fucking gross. This dog pussy. Stuff dog pussy, and then it's just not right. It's just not right.
Oh, okay, Bob Saget, calm down over there.
Another thing Tommy Wiseau has done wrong.
Add that to the list.
I do like the Chris R scene. Where's my fucking money, Denny? Where's my money, Denny? Pretty amazing.
That's a pretty funny scene. And everyone's like so concerned.
Well, I love
my mom.
Yeah, like Greg's weed smoking scene. Peter comes up there and he's talking to him. And he's like, he tries to throw him off the fucking roof.
Yeah. Yeah, it tries to throw Peter off the roof, who gets replaced halfway through the movie with somebody else.
Well, that's what people are saying, but that's not necessarily actually supposed to be.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, like, instead of that character coming back, you have a different character that's kind of filling the same role as far as their circle of friends. It's not named the same, so.
Yeah, and he's dressed weird. But I mean, Tommy is the whole time, so whatever. Let's see.
All his clothes he wears in that movie are simply amazing. And if you've ever seen his clothing brand since then, you know that you're like, oh, okay, this all makes sense.
I have a jacket from his clothing brand. It actually doesn't look like something he would wear in this movie, but I like it a lot, actually. It's quite fashionable.
Feels like a East European like soccer jacket is what it feels like. And it's pretty cool though.
Yeah, I dig it.
Then he's got a bunch of awesome t-shirts. Like we both got merch off his site. I got the Blu-ray, the signed 8x10, and
yeah, I got
pack
the
of
signed
shirts.
8x10s on the wall in the video store. I got the Blu-ray here, and I had the DVD before I had the Blu-ray, but when I bought that jacket, it's like $40. And that motherfucker, Tommy Wiseau, ships me the signed 8x10, and it says to Alec and shit on it too. So it's not just like the motherfucker has a signed stack that's just, it says to Alec, love is blind, Tommy Wiseau. I'm sure most of them probably say kind of the same shit, but he also sent a copy of The Room on Blu-ray and this stuffed dog for like $40 shipped. And I was like, okay, sure.
He was doing like warehouse sales early on in the pandemic, and it was like all the time because I did that eventually myself. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I got a You're Tearing Me Apart Lisa shirt. I've got one that's got like a whole hodgepodge of quotes, and there's just a wife beater 8th shirt, whatever you want to call it. And it's just like a terrible shirt. And you're like, that's the worst one of the bunch, but entertaining nonetheless.
I bought this one from him.
From Greg last night, yeah.
Yeah, and he signed it. I'm like, I don't know, is that going to wash off?
I don't know.
But I have a signature on the Disaster Artist book, so I'm good with that. But like, I like this shirt, just a little simple. It has spoons on the bottom. I didn't even know it had those when I bought it.
Oh yeah, because they're folded up on display there.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a cool thing. Let's see what else we got here that I can talk about this. Guess we'll talk about the ending. That whole party sequence is fucking hilarious. Because like, they keep throwing it in Tommy's face, like we're fucking, and he's like, she's lying about a pregnancy, and I'm like, again, this is how Tommy Wiseau sees women, or used to. I'm sure he's learned and grown.
Yeah, this is 20 some odd years ago. So yeah.
Well, 18. Well, it was shot in like 2002, I think. I want to say, I don't know.
Okay, yeah. So still.
Yeah, notoriously, there was a big ass billboard for The Room Up with a phone number that you could call, and that phone number just went to fucking Tommy, and he would be like, "Yeah, come see my movie." He just fucking like had screenings all the time and shit. And he eventually embraced it, obviously, and the funny thing is, this is marketed as a black comedy now from him. He calls it that.
Yeah.
But obviously it wasn't intentionally that way, but it's just funny how he is like, okay, sure, it's black comedy.
That ending like that, I always forget, like every time I watch it, like I almost forget that he kills himself at the end, because you're just like, what the hell?
This is the same picture as the signed 8x10.
Oh, nice.
It's a Tommy Wiseau underwear ordering thing, or size chart on the back. Tommy Wiseau underwear, TommyWiseau.com. Yeah, the suicide scenes, and this is, I think, the first time I'm going to say this, hilarious. He's just tearing apart the whole fucking house. The one part I think that they actually did of that actually kind of worked was when they're like, when he's writhing around and shit and being pissed off, and they cut to like him and Lisa doing shit. Like, that's good editing and like directing choice there, Tommy. That's probably the only one I'm approving of, really.
Yeah, no, that little sequence is pretty well put together.
But it's not good acted, or the other scenes that they flash to aren't either. I'm just saying, like, the idea of that worked.
Oh yeah, no, it's clearly concept of how how they executed the editing. Yeah, the scene itself is still Tommy trying to talk. Now I want to say, isn't that the box that had the gun in? Is that not the same box that Mark had all of his marijuana in when it was on the roof that he left up there?
I don't know. I'm paying that close enough attention.
That's what I was thinking last night when we saw it. It was like the same box that Mark had all of his weed in was this box that Tommy had the gun in. So
yeah,
maybe Mark took the weed and left the gun in there. Maybe it was Tommy's weed originally. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's the room, guys. I mean, you kind of know most of this shit if you're interested in it and know about it already. If you haven't watched this movie, just fucking watch it, and then at least read the Disaster Artist. And depending on how you feel about separating the art and the artist from, the Disaster Artist movie is still a fascinating look into Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero and The Room. So I would recommend checking that out.
Yeah, and check out our interview with Greg we did. That was pretty awesome. And I love how him and Tommy have both embraced just the weirdness that has come from this movie. I mean, as bad of a movie as it is, like it's still gotten them places and it's still given them success and levels that you normally would not expect from something like this.
Especially in the last 5 years since, really, I mean, Greg's the one who brought it back when he wrote The Disaster Artist,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
for sure. Shit. Now Tommy's getting fucking new fans on the daily. Like The Room is blown up to a new level before The Disaster Artist came out. I mean, it did it because that's when I discovered it, was when that hype was happening, and you discovered it after that too. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's a thing going forward. I think that it'll be looked at much like, what is that? Plan 9 from Outer Space by Ed Wood.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Am I making that up? Another movie? Fuck, I feel dumb. I'm just high. That's my excuse.
Yeah, you're just high. I didn't know what you're talking about. So,
you don't know what I'm talking.
Smoke weed every day.
Exactly.
I was talking about the movie Ed Wood. The director Ed Wood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even Greg talked about how The Disaster Artist was kind of inspired by the movie Ed Wood and stuff, which is a Tim movie about Ed Wood. Johnny Depp played him in that, and it's kind of the same kind of a story about a fucking director who means well but does not execute. So that's The Room.
Man.
Again, check out our interview with Greg Sestero. He was a nice dude, and I shook his hand and got a picture with him, and he signed my book, and he's a cool dude. And we watched Miracle Valley, his new movie, his directorial debut, and you should check that out when it becomes available as well.
And he knows his shit, so I have a copy of the Disaster Artist book, and he's like, "Oh, this is an original print for first release," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, badass." And then it was already signed, so he signed it again and then dated it for me for the signing on it, which is pretty cool. So, but I'm glad I got a hardcover of the original release of that. I think kind of pleased him to see that and sign it again. So,
yeah,
always fun to see how someone moves on from something, but someone else takes it and reclaims it. So much like The Room itself, it became much better by later on. So
you need to read that, because then you'll find out all the shit you don't know already.
I gotta jump into that one. So all right, well, let's move along.
Okay.
We now return to the real Ghostbusters.
Diane, 11:30 a.m., February 24th. Town of Twin Peaks.
Pretty good.
Bill Murray's the funniest man on the planet.
Episode by episode.
Episode by episode. Twin Peaks, man. We're almost to the end of the original run here.
We have one episode left?
I think the next one's the last one, isn't it?
Yeah. We did this week is shit, where is it at? It's around here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. Season 2, episode 21. Miss Twin Peaks.
Miss Twin Peaks, man. This episode starts off not fucking around at all. You see Lee and
Leo.
Leo and Major Briggs are captured, and sorry, my handwriting shit. I'm glad it's not.
It's funny though. Like your brain didn't have time to. Your brain was in read mode. I can't process the information first.
Exactly. No, but you see, Leo actually sets Major Briggs free.
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy because you're like, what the fuck? Why is he doing that?
because Leo's brain is fucked right now, and he doesn't even know that he wants to be an evil asshole. That's why he wants to save Shelley too.
Yeah,
he tried to kill Shelley before in that fire.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like you see some character development here, but because of the brain damage and everything else he went through, it's like way less redeeming than it should be. But it's also one of the more soap operatic parts of this series, right? You know, you kind of get some of that cheesiness that's trying to have that daytime nonsense to it. So
Leo's a fucking prick.
Mm-hmm.
He used to beat the shit out of Shelley. We saw that.
Then we got Audrey talking about her Seattle trip to Ben.
Well, wait, no. Hold on. There's a very important piece here you missed out. When Wyndham Earl comes back and he's talking to Leo, and he says, he's disappointed that he let the major go. And then he's like, but I'm not going to torture you or whatever, or punish you. Instead, I have a new game for you. And then he fucking lowers the bag from in front of his face, which presumably I can tell you that is a bag of Garmonbozia, which, if you remember, is basically pure pain and suffering, and it looks like cream corn. Kind of just is cream corn. Like, that's what they used for it.
Yeah.
And he's pale and has black, like his teeth are black and everything in his mouth is black, basically, because he's been eating Garmonbozia, presumably, or something. Then there's the diner real quick with Norma and talking about how she won Miss Twin Peaks 20 years ago. That was a brief little thing. Ben Horn is looking for answers, let's say, and through a bunch of religious texts I found very fascinating. It's just funny for his character to be doing that at this point, you know.
He's fascinating because like he was such a shitbag early on, and then now that he's had his awakening here, he still knows he was a shitbag, and he's aware of that. So he's like actively trying to change that. So I love how he still references the bullshit that he used to be.
Yeah. Right.
Like that's very self-aware there, which is not a super common thing for a story arc like that. So I appreciate that one a lot.
Cooper's talking to Harry about when Josie died.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically says, I think she was scared to death because I saw Bob in that room, and Bob is attracted to fear.
Yep. And then
I think basically he says, that's my theory. I think Bob is attracted to fear, and I think he's connected to the Black Lodge.
Wyndham Earl is eavesdropping on this.
He's fucking cucking it up, man. He's fucking stroking his schlong while he's listening to them.
Yeah, so that's when Wyndham like links the Bob to the fear and the Black Lodge, and he gets and he's like, that's what he missed. Coop figured it out for him, so that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Basically, Wyndham Earl now knows how, when, and where to access the Black Lodge. And he says, I haven't been this excited since I punctured Caroline's aorta. I just found that to be an interesting line. That's a cool line in there. So he leaves Leo with strings in his mouth or some shit that's tied up to a spider cage. That was kind of like, this could have been like, I don't know, just tie it to a gun, man. It was kind of weird.
This is one of those cheesy things, and I think this is more just a visual representation of fear.
Yeah,
is what it's supposed to be, because you see Leo's holding this twine rope in his mouth, and it's like intricately looped up through a box that's holding a bunch of spiders, and they're larger spiders. So as far as I know, like most larger spiders aren't venomous in the way that you would expect it to be. It's not like it's a brown recluse box or something. So it just, it's more expose than it actually is supposed to be terrifying. So
then there's the Miss Twin Peaks dance rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the scene.
Is that when you polish the one-eyed gopher?
That's when, no, that's not when you do that. You do that later when
there's running and screaming.
No, Lena takes Dick into the storage room and then takes Dick out of
the storage room
and takes Dick into her pussy
herself,
presumably, or butt, or her mouth. One of them, probably. Or at very least the hand. I don't know. I mean,
whatever their kink is, we're not going to shame it. Let them be.
Right, you'd think in order to persuade someone to rig the thing, you'd have to at least go with the blowy, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Depends on the person, I suppose.
Cooper is post meditation and he has like a bunch of realizations and shit. And he shows up to his room and they
And then they fucked.
Yeah, and then they fucked. So that's pretty right on, you know? Who doesn't want to, you know, throw Annie to the bed? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or for that matter. I'll take a sing.
Hawk finds Major Briggs walking in the woods.
Yeah, and he's like fucked up as hell.
Yeah, like we've seen Major Briggs like in a bad state before, but this is like legit. Like what the fuck?
It's like he has fucking brain damage. Basically, is how he's acting.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down the Major is insane. Catherine is over this box shit. Is what I wrote down. And
yeah,
you
she
know what?
is.
So am I. I'm over it. They've been dragging it out 4 fucking episodes at this point. I got this box. I can't open the box. And then Andrew fucking shoots it open, and they find the key. And they're like, all right, well, what does the key open? I don't know. We'll put it on the cake pan and debate it. That's that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Soap
We
opera.
get to the whole.
Always introducing new plot points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and again, Donna confronting her parents. Very soap opera-y.
Yeah, that was an interesting reveal there too. Well,
we'll get there. The 4-H club. Does this have something to do with the 4-H club? No, Andy. And then later turns out that Jupiter and Saturn, their astrological symbols look like a 4 and an H. Cooper leads this to be in conclusion. Then when they are in conjunction, that's where when the door will open. Then they figure out fear and love open the doors because that's what the Major says.
Yeah.
And Cooper's like 2 doors, 2 lodges.
Yep. Black Lodge, the White Lodge.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think that's when they find Earl's bug, actually. They actually smash the pot on accident. Find that. Like, oh, shit. Miss Twin Peaks starts.
Yeah.
And the log lady's being creeped on at the bar.
Yes,
Like
hardcore.
some dude fucking creeping all over her, and it's very disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
And Lucy's dance just goes to show that Lucy's hot as fuck.
You like that, huh?
Mm-hmm. Lucy's hot. There's just lots of hot people on this show. So what are you gonna do? There's lots of not hot too. I mean, you know, look at Wyndham Earl.
Yeah, that's
I definitely do not want to fillet him for sure.
I would hope not.
Confidence. Let's see. Oh yes. Bobby sees the log lady. Then he sees the log lady in the back. And he goes to confront one of them and be like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's Wyndham Earl dressed as a log lady and knocks him out with his log. And I do mean his wooden log, not his penis log. Or his ship.
Yes.
Yes, you could. Or his
pet
cat
log. As seen in Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, there you go. Lena's dance is like Lucy's better.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, that's just the way it is. They all go crazy for Lena. And I don't know. It's probably just personal taste, but she'd be in like 8th place on that contest for me. In personality, looks, and everything. Not a fan. Not a fan. Donna finds Ben and confronts him, and he's like, "Listen, I think we should sit down." And she's like, "Fuck that! You're gonna tell me, bitch." He's like, "Listen, your mother and I." And she's like, "Oh, so you're my father?" And then she just walks away and storms off. And he's like, "Oh, well, all right, cool, whatever."
Yeah.
He's trying to. He'll try to be doing the right thing because he's Ben now. You know, he's not a shithead anymore. Or at least he's trying not to be. So
yeah.
Motherfucking Annie wins Miss Twin Peaks, mostly because of her speech, because of Dale.
Yep.
And you see basically the horror in Dale's eyes when she wins because he knows what's up because they discovered that the winner of Miss Twin Peaks is who is fear is going to be tried to induce to open the Black Lodge, basically.
Yeah.
And they will possibly be murdered. So yes, that. Basically the lights go out and then they start flickering.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part. It like becomes a very high strobe and smoke and disorienting, right? No one can figure out what the fuck's going on. And then obviously, yeah, the log lady, obviously that's Wyndham Earl in the log lady's disguise takes Annie. So
one of my favorite things from the next episode that I have to tell you now, just because I'm thinking of it now, is Pete. Is that in the next episode's Pete's at the police station, and he's like, the fucking log lady stole my truck. Because Wyndham Earl stole his truck.
Yeah.
And he's like, she's awesome. She stole my goddamn truck. Oh, he's not saying that, but you know.
The other last big piece of this episode is Andy like realizing that everything they're looking at is actually the map.
Which I don't know. It looks kind of like a fucking map to me, so I don't know what we thought it was. Like a fucking.
I know, but they play it down like that. And they make it this big epiphany every time they realize, like, hey, that's a map. You're like, well,
that's the only time I've ever really felt that way with some of that. But I don't know. It gets in and out with being super intricate and obvious stuff like that. Anyway, yeah, the next episode's definitely like one of my favorites. It's dope as hell. So
the only thing kind of bizarre about this series up until now is like how quickly Annie's come into the show and like become such a mainstay and become so important to it, which is all the soap opera-ness to it. But
well, yeah, it's the soap opera-ness, and actually watching it this time around, I didn't hate it at all because that's been one of the things that's always bothered me is like Annie's only here for like fucking 4 episodes. Cooper barely knows her, and it's very awkward and weird. But this time walking around, I very much feel the vibe of like that was the first time they fucked today. You know, that was the first time they've actually done anything like that. They've only been, it's like a very new romance. So if you consider it that way and you actually see it from that perspective, because they're not trying to pretend like it's more than that, it makes sense. People are always more lovey-lovey when they first get together anyway and shit.
I'm not saying it's just one of those plot points. It's so soap operatic in the way it's like delivered. You're like, okay, you know, there's some of the stuff that's very like linear and bizarre, and there's some of it that you just gotta step back and analyze a little bit more for it to feel like it actually fits. So.
Yeah, I just love Cooper, so it's fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's that, I suppose. Shit, stepped on my.
That's that.
Like a dog that stepped on his own ear.
Other than a senior citizen stepping on his own scrotum.
So this is our last episode before October and before Halloween season. Look forward to our theme song adjusting again to our Halloween theme song. Although I'm going to take out the Glenn Frey so it doesn't get claimed.
Oh yeah.
But you know, I'm going to make adjustments a little bit here and there. But that'll be back, and we have a lot of horror movie reviews coming up. Chucky's coming out. Halloween Kills is coming out. Plus a lot of old stuff we're going to be talking about. So keep your eyes and ears and butt open.
Mostly your butt.
Mostly. And mostly in my butt. Mostly. Like Alien.
All right, kids. Like and subscribe, and we will show you Alex Butthole on OnlyFans later.
Yeah. Good night. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Frog Brothers Podcast. We'd greatly appreciate it if you could like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, and if you're listening on the audio feed on Spotify or Apple or Twitter or wherever you listen, tell your friends and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube at youtube.com/thefrogbros. Hit us up on Instagram at Frog Bros Podcast, on Twitter at bros_frog, on TikTok at Frog Bros Podcast, and follow us on Facebook. Join our Facebook group Frog Bros Video by searching just that, Frog Bros Video. Hit request to join and you'll be approved. We have shirts available. The link is in our Instagram bio and below in the description. And you can find stickers on Etsy at Frog Bros, all one word. Additionally, if you'd like to give us a call and leave a voicemail soon, our Patreon will be live and we'll be posting monthly responses and reactions to the voicemails. Dial 816-832-5388.